So I just recently went to a seminar about emotional intelligence, and you know what I got out of it? After the entire seminar, what I got out of it was that we as human beings, we honestly sometimes sabotage ourselves just because we have these categories that are created that separate us and give us a numerical value or some kind of assessed worth based on these imaginary concepts like intelligence or emotional intelligence. And I just think it's kind of contradictory to our nature to put ourselves and measure our competence based on these concepts. I think that we're human. I feel like we feel and we think, and who cares about what it's called? I think that the fact that we always have to label ourselves or put some kind of name on some kind of experience just to say, oh yeah, this person has a low this and a high this, so this makes them that kind of person. And I just feel like, why does it even matter? Why can't we all just be human? And honestly, in the seminar, I feel like the woman, she was like being kind of contradictory, I think, just because like I feel like talking about emotional intelligence is almost talking about emotional intelligence and then talking about people who have a low or high emotional intelligence, I think doesn't display emotional intelligence. I think that truly intelligent people, whether it be emotional or not, do not categorize themselves or label themselves or are spending time judging other people based on how they react or think or who they are. I think we can all accept each other no matter if we have a low IQ or a low EQ or whatever the fact may be. I feel like, why can't we all just be human? I feel like how you experience reality is how you experience reality. And I think that any chance that we get to separate ourselves, again, whether it be race or some kind of IQ or skin color or hair texture or our job or our career or our skills or whatever it is, that we just place all these labels on ourselves, and just like, why can't we just be? And I think the fact that we can't ever just let each other be or let ourselves be are the reason why we're so miserable as a race, just as humankind, just as human beings. We're always trying to measure ourselves and create some kind of some type of evidence or validation that like says oh, this person is better at this or this person is bad at that, or like, why does it matter? Why can't we all just work towards happiness and understanding ourselves in a way that doesn't involve diagnosing some kind of imaginary like abilities that we have? It's like we all have emotions, and I feel like maybe some people don't experience emotions enough or as much, and that's fine. Why are we always trying to like control who we are? That's so unnatural. Like, we have all these practices and these beliefs and these religions that really aren't acknowledged as religions, although I feel like if you believe in it and you continuously subscribe to it, then it becomes your religion. And I think that it's so easy for us to just ignore the fact that we don't have any control over it. And I just think that we as human beings will manifest any opportunity that we can that says, oh yeah, I have control over reality, when I think we just don't. I think we don't, and I feel like we should accept that because that's true to our nature. And I feel like every time we have tried to gain some kind of control over reality, someone ends up oppressed, or there is some sort of injustice, I feel like, being done, because there's no way to create balance when you're constantly tipping the scale and measuring and observing and judging and creating all of these preconceived notions about what a person can or cannot do based on some kind of number or test or psychological evaluation or emotional evaluation or whatever the case may be. And I just think we should just let each other be. It's so like out I feel like of order. And the lady was giving advice, like saying that you could say really, 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 really mean things about people specifically, she was literally hosting this seminar, and it's funny because the people around me laughed, like they all laughed at her, and I thought that she was contradicting herself, because how are you going to give a seminar on emotional intelligence at this event and talk about people who have a low emotional intelligence and then say something in front of a crowd like you can tell a baby that they're ugly as long as their mom isn't around? Like, first of all, how do you say things like that? And why are you encouraging those behaviors? I just feel like I feel like maybe I take things too seriously. Still, I just feel like it doesn't matter. I think that just because you say something is funny doesn't make it funny and doesn't make it okay. And I also feel like giving out information about things like emotional intelligence and then not following up with every single person that you gave that information can be dangerous. I just think that teaching people things and then like not giving them the proper guidance that they need in order to use that knowledge correctly, I think it's really dangerous. And I think that I feel like her seminar was really, really general and it was vague, and her name, will I say her name? Maybe I should. Her name was Judy. And at first we had like a miniature conversation before the seminar started, where she like asked me, what do I do? Because I'm at the convention, and I like always tell people, listen, I don't do anything. I'm just a curious mind. I'm just here trying to figure out what you guys do. Like, what is this industry that you're in? So we had like a really decent conversation before she even started the seminar, and then afterward I felt like it changed, and I think that she was very, very insensitive. I really didn't look around me to see what other people look like, because I feel like that's just not something that I have to be worried about at this point in time in my life. I feel like where I am is where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like if I'm the only person that looks like me in a room, then that means I'm there for a reason and I'm there with purpose. So I just feel like she was insensitive, and I think that some of the things that she said were inappropriate for an emotional intelligence seminar. That's how I feel. And I just wanted to like talk about that, because I feel like it's important. And I think that a lot of people will just listen to someone just because they may be hearing it for the first time, or just because a person is extremely convincing. She wouldn't have convinced me that emotional intelligence was a good thing after watching and listening to her during that seminar. I think it's probably something that actually creates a lot of psychological barriers and boundaries and burdens. And I think that it is actually less productive in terms of creating balanced and tranquil environments. I think that being too aware of yourself in terms of your emotional intelligence, or just your intelligence in general, I think can be detrimental to your growth. And I think it can also prohibit the free flow of compassion to just people, because now you're too busy focusing on yourself. And I just think that self-awareness doesn't have anything to do with where you fit into society. I think that where we fit into society is something that we are programmed to try to figure out, and I think that it's futile. I think that it is an improper use of our time and our efforts and our space. And I think that we as human beings shouldn't be trying to figure out how we fit into society. I think we should be figuring out how to just be ourselves, and to not really be thinking too hard about how we fit in, or what our worth is, or why we're here, or just over analyzing, or just analyzing in general what's happening in front of us. I think we should just be experiencing it, and I feel like that's the only way we're gonna heal and really actually allow for intelligence to increase, and for much more emotional sensitivity, is just by being present and not being too self-absorbed. And I think that knowing too much about yourself in terms of these labels and these categories that are just created systematically, I personally feel like is systemic. If it isn't something that is natural, I feel like categorizing ourselves, it doesn't really help. I think we should just be ourselves. So that's my emotional intelligence spill. This is the end.